Hi everyone! Oh gosh, I can't even believe it's taken me over 2 years to get this out to you. But yes, today I'm going to be showing you my finalized palette of 24 colors that I shall call my ultimate palette. For those of you who missed the first one back in 2023, I released a video explaining in detail how I ultimately minimized my palette to 12 colors that I really loved. I promised I'd give you an extended palette video, so here we are. I'll first go through each color and then explain the overview of it all towards the end. First up, PR122 Quin Magenta. The one I'm using today is from Winsor&Newton, and this is my choice for a cool red in a split primary palette. PR122 is a rather consistent pigment, so I don't mind which brand this comes from. Next is Quin Red made with PR209. I'm using the one from Holbein today, which is called Quin Scarlet. Daniel Smith calls theirs Quin Coral, and some brands call it Quin Cherry Red. This is my warm red option in a split primary palette. I just love its transparency and glow much more compared to typical warm reds like vermilions or pyrrole reds. Next, we have Nickel Azo Yellow PY150. This is also another rather consistent pigment across brands, so I'm not particular about which brand this is from. This one is from Rosa, called Aureolin. Aurelin? In mass tone, it's almost like a Quin Gold, a warm yellow. And once diluted, it can be very much similar to lemon yellows. This is really the only yellow I really need in a palette, but for this particular ultimate palette, it occupies my warm yellow spot. Next is Maya Mary Blue's Permanent Yellow Lemon made with PY175, occupying the spot for my cool yellow in a split primary palette. As I just mentioned, I really only need PY150, but this one is more for me to keep a nice, clean, and bright yellow in my palette. Does anyone else also do this? Personally, I don't mind what brand or what pigment this is as long as it's a lemon yellow of sorts. PY3 or PY184 would also work just as well. Next, V's Green. I've already made a video about how this tube came to be, so please do check that out if you want the details, linked below. Basically, it was inspired by Roman Schmall's Autumn Green. I've renamed this to V's Green because my version turned out a little darker and I don't want to keep using it and having to explain the difference. Also, this is my go-to personalized green color in my palette. I've already been experimenting with some other yellow-green options I'd like to try instead, so I'm just going to call this position V's Green for now. But no matter what, it will be some sort of color separating yellow-green. And now we have the controversial Phthalo Green Blue shade made with PG7. Mine is from Magello, but any brands is fine really. Some people love it, some people hate it. I admit it's a rather garish color, but personally it's my go-to when I need to mix a black. My seventh color is Magello's Cobalt Green Deep made with PB36. This is more typically known as Cobalt Turquoise. I don't know how popular this color is, but I love to mix it with cool reds to get color separating purples, as well as mixing it with yellows to get various color separating greens. This hue is pretty common as far as cobalt turquoises go, but PB36 does come in many other hues. I don't mind which brand I use as long as it's on the greener end of the spectrum and has apparent granulation. I do have a video on the various PB36 variations, so I'll leave a link to that down below if anyone's interested. And now we have my most favorite color of all time, Holbein's Marine Blue made with PB16, also known as Phthalo Turquoise. This is my cool blue option in a split primary palette. I use it instead of the notorious Phthalo Blue green shade. I have a few videos which I'll link below, but the one I want to bring attention back to is this comparison one. The resulting mixes are almost identical to mixes with Phthalo Blue green shade. Starting on the second row here, Sennelier's turquoise green made with PG50. Most people know this color as cobalt teal. Sennelier's was just my first, and I still love it, so I'm sticking with it. This was actually the last color I added to this ultimate palette. It's not a color I use often at all unless I paint seascapes, but I like having this color in my palette just to reassure me that I have it if I ever need it. Next, Holbein's Cerulean Blue made with PB35. This is the blue I use for skies. The hue is just perfect for bright, clear, sunny skies in Thailand. Alright, so I'm actually quite particular about this one. Most Western brands' PB35 isn't the hue I like. However, all of the Asian ones, Holbein, Shinhan, and Magello, are all the same warm light blue hue that I prefer. Funnily enough, Winsor&Newton has two PB35s, and the red shade is the one I prefer. And now we have a staple color in most people's palettes, ultramarine blue made with PB29. I definitely prefer the ones that lean warmer, but nowadays I'm not too particular with it. As long as it's an ultramarine blue that granulates, that's all I need. Next, Magello's Ultramarine Violet No. 2, made with PV15. This is also another color I chose to add to this palette, mainly just to feel reassured that I have a convenience violet, but also I love mixing it with blues to give more of a depth to skies. Moving on, this is my very special color, V's Violet. It's a 3-pigment color made with PV19, PV28, and PV15. If you saw my video on this color, you'll know it turned out way too red-leaning than I envisioned. I've since fixed it, and the swatch you see here is more representative of what I initially had in mind. It's something between Misty Morning and Shadow Violet. I just love using it for like mystical type paintings. And here we have Schminke's Potter's Pink, made with PR233. I chose to go with Schminke because I already had a tube of it, but I'd be equally happy to use ones from other brands that are easy to re-wet and not too low tinting. I was choosing between Potter's Pink and PBR11 Magnesium Ferrite. I mixed both with the rest of the colors in my palette, and while there are some differences and similarities, at the end of the day, I just like Potter's Pink as a color on its own much more than Magnesium Ferrite. It also gives such beautiful magical mixes with other brighter colors. Next is Daniel Smith's Buff Titanium, made with PW6:1. I find that this color is so useful for painting various Thai-related subjects like ivory and architecture made from marble. Then we have Gray Titanium, also made with PW6:1. I decided to include this in my palette because, well, while it's the perfect concrete color, it's also the perfect color to mute any other color in my palette. And I got this idea from when I tested out the Boku Undo Pastel Black Tan set. It gives such a nice vintage pastel vibe. And now, I have a full row dedicated to my selection of earth colors. First up, PBR24 Chrome Titanate Oxide. The one I'm using today is Daniel Smith's, but my favorite is probably from Roman Small. I'll leave a link to my comparison video below. This is my vibrant version of a yellow ochre light. Daniel Smith's Transparent Yellow Oxide made with PY42. I prefer this over a typical raw sienna, and this really is my go-to earth yellow. However, I have found that I'd be willing to substitute it with Holbein's Raw Sienna, which is a much more affordable local alternative. Next, my third and last earth yellow, Rembrandt's Raw Umber made with PBR7. Yes, this is a discontinued color, but I love it as a muted yellow earth color. Other brands that have the same hue that I have tried and would gladly use are Winsor&Newton, Schminke, and Maya Mary Blue. Oh, here is Roman Small's Ginger Red made with PR290. It may be named red, but this takes the orange earth position in my palette. Daniel Smith also recently launched a new color this year called Earthy Light Red, made with the same pigment. This has made its way onto my palette because I find that it has the perfect hue and texture that matches reddish-orange bricks used in olden-day Thai architecture. Here is my choice for a red earth, Daniel Smith's Transparent Red Oxide, made with PR101. Most people would probably choose burnt sienna, but I just find that most burnt siennas are either too orange or too opaque for me. Standard transparent siennas also tend to be just a flat, transparent color, whereas this particular Daniel Smith color rides the perfect line between transparent, yet still has some granulating texture to it. I love the mixes I could get with blues, turquoises, and greens. Since I already have both Daniel Smith's transparent yellow and red oxides on my palette, I figured I might as well have their transparent brown oxide as well. Now, this takes the position of my blue earth color. Most burnt umbers will work just fine. I'm not too particular with this one. I just thought it's nice to have the Daniel Smith trio all together. I actually have a couple comparison videos related to this trio if you'd like to see more of them. And now for my violet earth color, Maya Mary Blue's Sepia made with PY164. Also known as Manganese Antimony Titanium Buff Rutile. This is definitely a convenience color for me. I mainly use it for dark shadows. If I don't have access to this, I could easily mix Mijello's Van Dyke Brown and Dioxazine Violet or Ultramarine Violet to get a similar color. Last but not least, Mijello's Cobalt Black made with PBK27. It's a granulating neutral black. Most brands will have an oxide black made with PBK11 that is basically the same thing. I don't really need a non-granulating black as I could mix my own, so I figured having a granulating black would be much more useful. And that has been all 24 colors of my ultimate palette! Most of you who have been following me or are more experienced with watercolor probably aren't too surprised by my choices. But for any beginners or anyone else looking to gain more insight, I'd like to quickly summarize my thought process now that we've swatched all the colors. So to give you an overview of all the swatches, I basically comprised this ultimate palette according to colors that I love on their own first and foremost, in relation to one another, and as a whole palette itself. I started with a split primary palette, which means there's a cool red, warm yellow, cool blue, and warm blue. Some convenience green mixers, a transparent one and a granulating one. Two personalized colors, one is green and one is like a violet. My favorite sky color that reflects Bangkok's sunny sky. And my personal range of favorite earth colors. There's a bright yellow, middle yellow, muted yellow, orange, red, blue, and violet. You'll notice that all of these have some degree of granulation or opacity to them, and I think that's just how I prefer my earth colors, to really feel like they were made from dirt. Then Potter's Pink and my granulating black. These are what I would call my earth mixers, and this is because while putting together this palette, I took into account that if one day I run out of any of my earth colors and I needed more affordable, locally sourced options, well, Mijello, Shinhan, and Holbein are great brands, but their earth color selection isn't very strong, and they also don't have much texture to them. However, if I took basic colors like yellow ochre, burnt sienna, burnt umber, and mixed them with Potter's Pink and or a granulating black, I'm able to get a wide variety of textured earth colors, and that is what makes me value these two colors so much in this palette. I can turn simple earth colors into magical textured two-tone earth colors. Moving on, these are my two convenience stone colors. If I ever run out and don't have access to them anymore, I'll mix my own. These mixes were inspired by Liz Steele. I was going to stop there, but that's 22 colors. I figured I could add 2 more to round out the whole palette and make it an even 24. But also, these are 2 colors that I don't really need, but makes me feel reassured that I have them in my palette should I need them. I looked at my palette and saw that I didn't have any violets. I could mix my own, so instead of a transparent violet, I went with a granulating one. As for cobalt teal, I really think it's one of those colors that I just can't recreate myself. I can come close to it, but the vibrancy is impossible to mimic. I might as well just have the color in my palette. And there you have it! This is my ultimate palette of 24 colors. I'm honestly so happy to have put this together and shared this with you. I'm sorry it took so long. Now that we've gone through everything, please do comment below if you were surprised at any of my selections, or if there's a color from here that maybe you'd consider adding to your own palette rotation next time. Alright, that's all I have for you today. As always, thank you so much for watching everyone. Don't forget to drink lots of water and stay hydrated.